Hi, I'm Jason. Thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I wanted to just give a little history about me and the console and my inspiration for making this video. First of all, I want to thank Edgetone Studios. I'm sorry, so sorry I didn't catch your name, but Edgetone Studios, look him up on YouTube. He had some fantastic videos of him restoring and the troubleshooting process and everything he went through, the cleaning and troubleshooting process of this large format MCI console, and that really inspired me. I really enjoyed how he put that video together and the information that he provided with it, and his just troubleshooting process, how he went through everything. A little about me. I've been mixing and recording for over a decade now. I work in the industry, and but I sad to say, like I really just haven't had the opportunity to dive into the circuitry. We've all read, all of us audio nerds and gear nerds, we've all read these gear space threads about op amps and about the circuitry and about capacitors and recapping consoles and stuff. But I'd never really had a chance to get into it and actually do that. And so it was time. I felt like I had some spare time for a project, and I wanted to work on something to get my hands dirty. And so I just happened to run across this Ramza 8118, started doing a little bit of research, and little did I know that there is a small but very dedicated and vocal group of people that absolutely love these consoles. So it really intrigued me. This console really intrigued me. And so I bought it. I picked it up for $80. And so I figured if something went wrong, not a big deal. And, I started searching and couldn't find anything. So I thought that I would make my own videos of the process that I went through, the troubleshooting process, just generally looking for faults or issues or blown capacitors and maybe replacing capacitors. And it ended up being a really fun project. I was really excited about it. And I was able to, halfway through, I got it working, and it sounded decently well. I integrated it into my system and just started playing around with it, tinkering around with it. And these people aren't wrong. I mean, these are cool consoles and they sound really, really good. I was super impressed. Like they said, I saw firsthand that when you drive the consoles a little bit, you can get some really cool harmonic distortion on the top end and the low end, mainly the low end. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I mean, it's similar to like an API, right? Obviously it's not an API, but you drive it musically. You can make it part of your musical instruments, a part of your process, your musical creation process. And it's a great console, super fun, built like a tank, very intuitive, laid out very well, it seemed like. So here's the process. This is what I went through from day one. Who knows how long this is going to take me? This is just day one. I can tell you that at the end of the day one, once I integrated it into my rig and started working on it a little bit, I heard a pop. And then now that's going to be day two and beyond video. So you definitely want to catch the next videos coming out. It gets a little more in depth. The first video, this is great, just tearing it down and really cleaning it up and seeing what it's all about. And I hope you enjoy it. And thanks again to Edgetone Studios for making those videos. Very informative. I really appreciate it. So go watch those videos. Stick around. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help out. This is a really fun project. Enjoy. And here we go. This is the teardown and cleaning of the Ramza WR8118. Little console that I acquired for around $80. They sell new and used for a little bit more than that, but cool console. Check it out. So starting up, the first thing we have to do is just tear it apart, clean it. That was my number one goal. That was my project for the day. And this is me just going through and popping off all of the knobs, right? All the EQ knobs, gain knobs, faders eventually. So this console comes with sweepable EQs, which means it's going to have that bass knob and then the top knob, right? So here's me trying to just figure out how to get the bass knob off of that, the lower knob, if you will. So what I realized is if you line them up, you line up the top and the bottom, you'll see there's it's kind of a half moon there. If you line them up, then you can pop them right off. So there we go. That was me figuring that out. So I'm just going to line them all up, pop them off. This took a while. So a lot more, it took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. But I absolutely love these knobs. I think as an audiophile, audio nerd, I think a lot of us say that the tactile feedback is something that we really enjoy about recording and mixing and mastering is, at least me, is the feel, the push of the buttons, switches, the knobs, the faders, the feel of it. So this console has super cool knobs on it, feels really good. They're beefy, but they have enough space in between all of them. Some can get really packed in. So here they are. Here's all of them. Pulled them all off, put them in the tub. And you know what I'm going to do with that tub? I'm going to do what everybody else says. I'm going to throw a little bit of dish soap in there. Fill it up with some warm water. And rush it around like this. And I'm just going to set it off to the side. Let it hang out. Soak in there. Eventually I'll come back and clean it a little bit more. Each one individually. Because they were grimy. Very grimy. So here we go. Got the console out now. Now I can start unscrewing stuff. So obviously there's a lot of screws on this thing. I had a little bit of a process where I had a couple of different containers to hold these screws. Different ones went in different containers, just whatever made sense for me. So I suggest you do the same thing because there's a difference between the inside screws, the tiny little baby ones, and the larger outside screws. So you should probably do that. But just taking a look at it, flipped it over there. I got to pull off the back of it first. I'm just kind of looking at the faceplate and everything. The way that this console is made is pretty cool. It's not individual. It's not completely modular at the top, at least. The channels are ganged in groups of 4, it looks like, and then there's a random 2 on the end there. But I'm going to take this off, see what's in the inside. This would be the first time that I was going to take a look at what we're working with here. And so this is a really exciting part of the process, is opening it up and just seeing what's inside. So there we go. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. So I cleaned it a little bit. It was very grimy on the outside, so I want to go ahead and do a little bit of cleaning. So what I did here was I just took a little bit of warm water, hot water, just let it cool down a little bit, and some Dawn dish soap, whatever dish soap you got. I put that in a little jar next to me, and then got an old toothbrush and just started going to town on it. Just wanted to clean it up a little bit, get some of that grime out of there. It was a lot of grime. It's been sitting for a long time. For a long time. This is just a continuation of the cleaning process. It's very satisfying. Go through and get all that junk off all the pots. And now it's time for the big reveal. So, just trying to figure out how to get this undone. Found a couple of extra screws there I didn't see right in the middle. It's got screws all the way around the outside there, and 2 of them, if I recall correctly, in the middle. One of them was stripped. I was showing you there how to get a strip screw out. I just had a special tool for it. Obviously, this is an old console, so it's probably been opened before, but there we go. There it is. So as you can see, it's kind of modular, semi-modular, I guess you could say. But they're in banks of 4, except for the last 2. This is the first look on the inside there. Very cool. I mean, beautiful piece of art. It's kind of a mix between art and circuitry and technology. Beautiful. This here is the master side there. That's going to come back and bite me right there, that section, that master power section. Little did I know that those caps were going to blow. At least one of them was going to blow. This is just going through each individual channel here, checking things out, seeing what the circuitry looks like. Those are the faders, right, because it's upside down, so it's the bottom of the faders there. That's part of the master section, and that's the master fader there. So you can see that's the beginning of that ribbon cable. That's where the power, I'm assuming, goes down through the rest of the channels. Beautiful. Now I'm just kind of looking around for different screws. Here specifically I'm looking at how the armrest attaches. So there's no screws on the armrest, right? They just slide in like that and kind of clip in. So I didn't realize how they came off. Eventually I looked up the schematic. It gave me a little bit of information, but not a lot. So I thought I was going to be able to just bang them off there because they're really set in there, really tight. So I thought they were screwed, but they're not screwed in there. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I can just tap it a little bit, get it off there. But no, that's not how it worked. So because they do actually just slide off, I'll realize it later once I have it set up right that they pop off. I was just pulling the wrong way. They don't pull down like that. They pull off the opposite way. It's hard to explain, but you fiddle around with it, you'll figure it out pretty quick. So at this point, I kind of gave up. I figured that there was probably some more screws that I'm missing somewhere. So I flipped it back over and started looking. And here I noticed these screws here. I thought, okay, maybe those go into the armrests there. They don't. Just letting you know now, they don't. But they are obviously holding together the faceplate and to the channel strips to the faceplate. So I'll find that out later. But so right now I'm just gonna unscrew pretty much any screw there that I can find. I'm putting them all in a container. Definitely keep them safe. They're very small. You will lose them. I did lose a couple, but I did find them later. Thank goodness. So here I'm just gonna unscrew any screw that I can find that I think is holding on those armrests currently. And there we go. They came off, and that was coincidental. It wasn't because I unscrewed them. It's just because they clipped in, and I was able to pull them off the other way. So now we're just taking a good look, seeing how dirty it is. It is dirty. A lot of grime in there. A lot of gross stuff in there. I'm going to flip it back over here. Now my main goal is to get the faceplate off. I realize that I've got to get the faceplate off, but it's not just sliding off. So some consoles you'll see that the faceplate goes on and then the little bolts go over the pots to secure the faceplate on. But this is not that way. The little bolts, the name escapes me at the moment, are underneath the faceplate, which is cool, but also very confusing at the same time because at this point I'm removing all the screws to get the faceplate off and it won't come off. So it looks like the corners of it, the right, top, left, bottom, are a little bit loose, but there's something in the center that's holding that faceplate on, and I cannot figure out what it is. It takes me a while to figure it out. there is no screws in the center. The first thing I thought is I'm missing a screw in the center part of it. That's not the case. So eventually I will turn it over, start looking a little bit more and unscrewing some other screws, and then realize that there is a set of screws that go right down the middle of it from the bottom end, from the back end, that are actually somehow attaching the faceplate to the channel strip. One of the challenges I'm having right now is getting this top cover off in order to access the modules underneath. I can access them from if I flip the console over, I can access it. But the manual that I was able to find online is pretty clear that you just remove the 8 screws right here, these 8 screws. So we did that, we took that off, we took the armrest off. So we remove these 8 screws and it just lifts up, which is typical for some of these consoles, the way they're designed. If they're not completely modular, so the entire channel strip pulls out. They typically have a faceplate on it like this. You pull off the faceplate, and then you have access to the individual modules underneath. Now, some consoles have these nuts, washers and nuts on every pot that you have to take off first in order to lift it up, but this doesn't have that. So that's not what is holding it down. You know, I've fiddled with it for probably a couple hours now, and I can get the corners up, right? You can see that the corners are up a little bit, so there's a little bit of play there, but it appears to still be attached somewhere in the middle underneath, and I don't know what that is. There's not an additional screw anywhere. I've looked for additional screws. There's nothing bent enough to prevent this from coming up. It really feels like it's secured still. Like there's something going on, whether it's glued or attached. You know, I don't know if somebody has previously owned this console and tore it apart and you put it back wrong. You know, we just don't know. So I'm on option B now, plan B, which I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna unscrew the modules from the back, from the underneath side, and see, you know, I might be able to get the modules out, and then I can see what's holding this faceplate on, because I would like to get the faceplate off, so then I can have access to the modules while it's like this, but that's not gonna happen right now. So plan B, give it a shot, see what's up. So here we go. I've flipped it over now. Start really taking a look at it. So here I'm just trying to just get it apart. So just take off any of the extra screws that I see in the corners. See if that will help get that faceplate off. But I'll realize later on that there is a set of screws that go from left to right, all the way right behind that ribbon cable that you see going all the way down right there. So eventually I'll realize I got to take the ribbon cable off, and I will have to unscrew all those screws, which are helping to hold on that faceplate. And so this is that process of just figuring it out. Thought I would take some beauty shots while I was at it. Look at this. Something really beautiful about the layout and the design. You know, it's kind of a mix between artistry and technology. Love it. So what we're going to try to remove are these screws here. As you can see, the way this console is designed is that it's in sections. So it's not individually modular, but it's in banks of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. 2 on the end, 17 and 18 are different. When I picked up the console, I was told that there are two channels that are not functioning. I believe it's 11 and 13, which would be strange because that would mean it would make more sense if they were right next to each other, because then it would be, you know, in the same group, but it's not. So I'm gonna have to pull out 2 of them for sure to check that. But first, as you can tell, the hardest thing is you got to get this ribbon cable off here. This ribbon cable connects all the way through all of them. Luckily, it's not too difficult to get off. I've already popped one of them here, just testing it out. But I did label, I made a little marking on this ribbon cable here. And that's right, I marked that ribbon cable right there. You can see the little black dot on the top, so that way I know that it's on that side, and that's where it goes. This ribbon cable off in order to get to the screws that are behind the ribbon cables. You'll see right there, that screw right there. But the only way to get to that screw is to take that off. So what I did was I marked this one so I knew that was on the end. That'll be the last one I take off. So let's take off the ribbon. At this point, I was really trying hard to document everything that I was doing and take a lot of photos. That's part of the reason why I put that mark on that ribbon cable, even though it might be obvious, but after you go through the whole thing and after a week or 2 of working on these consoles, you're going to need some kind of recall, something to go back and remind you of how things were. So to get this ribbon cable off, I just started from the left there, and they just pulled straight out. They kind of look like they would pull to the right and then out, but they actually just pull straight out. So I was trying to be really careful here. I didn't want to crimp any of that ribbon cable because I'm going to assume that they're not going to be easy to find in that exact same layout and spacing, that it was probably custom made just for that console. So I'm trying to be really careful here, because the last thing I want to do is make one, break it, and then have to make one from scratch. So just being really careful about how I'm taking these off here. But they came out pretty easy though, surprisingly easy. And there we go. Got it off. Beautiful cable. Look at that. Well made. I'm just going to take a look, and I can see a little bit better. If you see any broken pins or busted capacitors, anything like that. But so far, all looks good. The console was surprisingly in good condition at this point. Just trying to check behind the ribbon cable there, get a better idea of what they look like. No capacitors busted, at least from my visible eye. Yeah, it looked good. It was still dusty, grimy. I'm gonna do a lot of cleaning on it, but looks functional. All right, change up the angle for you a little bit, because I'm a master filmmaker here. Now we're just going to start taking off all those screws. So at this point, I didn't realize, I think I took off all the screws in the center there, but still wasn't coming off. The main plate, the faceplate wasn't coming off. So at this point, I'm just going to avoid it. I'm just going to, who cares, whatever, this is rock and roll, baby, let's go. So I just start taking out screws. So I know that the ones that I'm taking out now are the sections. So they are holding the section, each section bank of 4 channels into the frame itself. And so I'm just going to take all those out, because now I'm thinking, okay, if I take those out and the bottom where they connect to the frame, then maybe I'll be able to just pull the channel strips banks out, and the faceplate stays on. So that was my thought process there, and here we go. So now I realize that I didn't take all those screws out in the center part behind where the ribbon cable lays. So this is me doing that now, and that's when I'll realize they'll come loose, and I'll start making some serious progress after this. So here we go. Now I'm realizing that these are still connected by these screws right here. So I'm going to take those out next. Top is already done. Took all those out. I'm just going to take off the bottom ones. So here I realize there's still something else holding it on. So now I'm looking at the master section here. And I do realize at some point that there are a few screws in the master section that are in the center that also are probably holding on that faceplate. So I'm going to go ahead and dig into those. The hard part is that they're hidden behind a bunch of cables and random other things. I'm counting them out here. I think there's at least 2 of them, possibly 4. Just trying to find them all and figure out how I'm going to get my screwdriver in there, because it's a little tight fit, but I end up getting them in there. Okay, now as you can see, it's starting to come off now. See that? See that? So I should be able to get it off. The only thing that's holding it is right here, not quite coming off. So I think it's because of one little hidden screw right there. See it? That little guy right there. That's what we're going to do now. So here I found that tiny little hidden screw on the right side there, and that's the one. That's the one that was holding it on. So I'm gonna take it out. Yeah, I felt it. Felt the whole thing shift. All right, I think it's all detached. So hold this all together and pop this faceplate off. Yep, there we go. At this point I realized I definitely did a lot more disassembling than I probably should have at this point. With it standing upright like that, it's very delicate, so I had to be really careful. But the faceplate came off, looky there. You know, now I can clean that right up, inside and outside, soak it a little bit, scrub it down. Yeah. I was really excited about that because it was very grimy. So, so that there I'm realizing that where it was screwed in, how it was still attached. So that manual that you find online leaves out a couple of little pieces about it. As you can see here, it was still attached. It wasn't just the 4 screws or however many on top. It's attached from behind, and there we go. We can take a look at all those individual banks of channels. Pretty cool. This is upside down. Get the faceplate off. Look how dirty and grimy that is. A lot of dirt and grime in there. See, that's worth cleaning. All these pots, switches, dirty. Looks like the meter bridge, the meters, LED meters. Got a bent pot here. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. All right. Taking off the, there we go. At this point, it's pretty much fallen apart. I can just easily take those channel banks out. I'm going to go ahead and try to take the top off and the sides off there. It's going to help a little bit. But this is a very precarious situation. I would not recommend standing it upright like this. it got a little sketchy. So put it back down. But it's just me figuring it out. Don't recommend you do it this way. It's kind of sketchy up and down like this. But I couldn't get the front control panel off in order to pull the modules out on the other side from the top. So this is what I was left with. Yeah, the modules actually don't pull out from the top, I realized, because the frame, you attach it to the frame and they're underneath the frame. So either way, you got to pull it out from the bottom. So maybe this is the only way to do it. I'm not sure. Okay, so I consulted the manual, and as I suspected, so see, this is if it was laying normal. That screw right there is from the underside, so it's from this side. Right, so this is what I was saying earlier, that it doesn't come out of the top, right? It's got to come out of the bottom, because there's a screw from the underside that's going up and attaching the channel banks to the frame. Okay, while I was laying it down, I realized that the back panel is ready to come off. So I went ahead and pulled that out, which then made me realize I have access here. And I need to take off all of these nuts, which is why I laid it down. So I'm gonna take this back panel off, but before I do that, it's obviously still attached to the heat sink here. It looks like a couple of ribbon cables. So I'm gonna pop those out real quick. Yep, so those are two small ribbon cables that attach to the heat sink there. So there they are. I just took photos so I could always recall where they went. Easy to slip off. How I did that. Took these two ribbon cables here. Right there. That. Popped it out. There we go. Got the back plate off. So everything intact. Now for the fun part. So little did Jason know that this was going to be a huge pain in the rear because I'm trying to do this by hand. I wised up very quickly and realized that I'm going to need a power tool for this, so I was able to grab a ratchet that attaches to my screw gun. This is going to make this a whole lot easier and a whole lot faster, so I do not recommend doing it by hand. You can get it done, but man, it's going to take you a long time. Here we go. Finally got them all off, and now I'm able to pull each individual channel out from the frame. So here I was thinking that they're still connected somehow. I got those screws out of the back, which loosened up that back panel there, but then eventually I realized that I can't get them all out. Can't figure out why I can't get them out. So I'm looking around for more screws, of course, and I look on the underneath side and I see a couple screws there, and I think, okay, that's what's holding them in. However, it is not. That's actually just holding the frame on there. So very quickly I realized that it's not holding those channel strips in, and I can just pull them right out. See, they're kind of loose right there already, but I'll figure that out in a couple minutes. And here we go. I figured it out, was able to pull them out. See how that frame is rigid? Just stays right there. And I was able to pull those banks of 4 channels out. Now I can look at all that. I'm going to get some beauty shots here for you. Just that Really cool, that integration of technology and artistry. Beautiful. And that's it for day one. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something out of that, how to tear down your Ramza console, and just really appreciate again the beauty of the technology there. And there's something about the idea of taking your artistic creation and sending it down a circuit. The physical changes that happen in the audio and the sound of that is just really fascinating to me, and I love it. And I hope you appreciate it too. But that's it. That's it for day one. Stick around for day two. You're going to realize, you're going to see that it doesn't work out all to plan, but I was able to integrate it and get some sounds out of it. It's really cool. Sounds great. And then a capacitor blows, and that's where we're at now. So stick around for that upload coming soon. Thanks for watching.